Manhattan, New York, Friday night. On the 47th floor of one of the most expensive steakhouses in the city, snow drifted softly outside the glass walls while warm jazz floated through the candlelit dining room. Luxury watches flashed beneath crystal chandeliers. Executives laughed over $1,000 bottles of wine. Everything about the place whispered one thing: money. At the best table near the window sat a woman almost everyone in America recognized, Victoria Sinclair, founder and CEO of Sinclair Beauty, a billion-dollar cosmetics empire. Forbes once called her the Iron Queen of the beauty industry. Brilliant, ruthless, untouchable, the kind of woman who could make investors nervous with a single glance. But tonight, she wasn't here for business. Across from her sat her 8-year-old son, Ethan, grinning so hard his cheeks hurt. "Mom, I actually won?" he asked for the 5th time, clutching the gold medal from his robotics competition. Victoria smiled, a rare, genuine smile very few people ever saw. "You didn't just win, buddy," she said softly. "You crushed it." Ethan launched into another excited explanation about coding and sensors, while Victoria listened carefully, like every word mattered, because to her, it did. Victoria Sinclair may have built a billion-dollar empire alone, but being Ethan's mother was the only title she truly cared about. About 20 minutes later, her attention drifted to the table beside them. A man in his mid-30s sat with a little girl, wearing a yellow dress and a blue bow that was slightly crooked, clearly tied by someone who tried very hard, but wasn't very good at doing hair. The father's shirt was old but neatly ironed. His shoes were worn, and unlike everyone else in the restaurant, he wasn't admiring the skyline. He was staring at the menu like it was a math exam. Victoria noticed his fingers subtly moving beneath the table. He was using the calculator on his phone, adding numbers, subtracting, recalculating, trying not to panic. She knew that look instantly. It was the expression of someone pretending everything was okay, when financially nothing was okay. The man's name was Michael Carter, and the little girl beside him was Sophie. "Daddy," Sophie whispered excitedly. "This place is beautiful." Michael smiled warmly. "Yeah, princess, it really is." A waiter approached. "Are you ready to order?" Michael hesitated. Sophie, what would you like?" She pointed excitedly at the most expensive steak on the menu. "That one!" Michael froze for exactly 1 second. Just one. But Victoria noticed. Then he smiled quickly. "How about the pasta instead? I heard it's amazing here." "Okay," Sophie said instantly, completely happy either way. Victoria saw Michael quietly exhale in relief. When the waiter returned, Michael ordered the 2 cheapest items on the menu. 1 pasta, and the kid's burger. "And for drinks?" "Just water, please." The waiter nodded and walked away. Sophie kept chatting happily about school, while Michael secretly checked his bank balance again beneath the table. The screen reflected briefly against his face. $42.18. He was calculating whether he'd still have enough money for gas after dinner. Victoria tried to look away, but then she heard Sophie ask, "Daddy, we came here because I got into the gifted program, right?" Michael smiled proudly. "That's right. My girl's officially one of the smartest kids in New York. You promised if I got in we'd celebrate somewhere fancy. And I keep my promises." Sophie tilted her head. "Did you save money for a long time?" Michael chuckled softly. "Only about 6 weeks." Victoria slowly looked up. 6 weeks. "Daddy skipped lunch at school," Sophie continued innocently, "and worked night shifts too." "Princess, I heard Aunt Emma talking." The little girl lowered her voice. "We didn't have to come here." Michael immediately shook his head. No, absolutely not. His expression turned serious. You worked hard for this. You deserve to feel special tonight. Victoria suddenly went still, because something about that sentence hit her harder than she expected. It reminded her of the years when she was broke, the years she survived on instant noodles while trying to build her company, the years she raised Ethan completely alone. But most of all, it reminded her of the fear she carried every single day back then, the fear that her son might grow up feeling unimportant. Dinner continued. Sophie smiled through the entire meal. Michael barely touched his own food. He mostly just watched his daughter enjoy herself with quiet happiness in his eyes. When the check finally arrived, Victoria noticed him take a deep breath before opening it. Then he froze. At the bottom of the receipt were 4 simple words: paid in full. Michael blinked in confusion. "Excuse me," he said quickly to the waiter. "There must be some mistake." The waiter smiled politely. "No mistake, sir. The lady by the window took care of everything." Michael turned immediately. Victoria was already standing with Ethan, preparing to leave. "Ma'am," he called out nervously. The entire restaurant glanced over. Victoria stopped and looked back. Michael stood awkwardly, embarrassed beyond words. I don't even know what to say." Victoria gave him a small smile. "You don't have to say anything." Then the waiter handed Michael a folded note. He opened it slowly. Inside, written in elegant handwriting, were the words, "A father who saves for 6 weeks just to celebrate his daughter is doing something many wealthy people never learn to do, making a child feel like the most important person in the world." Michael's eyes instantly filled with tears. Beside him, Sophie tugged gently on his sleeve. "Daddy, why are you crying?" Michael laughed softly through the tears. "I'm okay, princess." Across the room, Ethan looked up at his mother. "Mom, why did you help them?" Victoria glanced toward Michael and Sophie one last time. Then she answered quietly, "Because some people are poor in money, but incredibly rich in love." 3 days later, Michael received a phone call that changed everything. A prestigious private school in Manhattan informed him that Sophie had received a full academic scholarship from an anonymous donor, tuition, books, a laptop, even a future college fund. Michael nearly dropped the phone. "Wait, who did this?" The woman on the other line smiled softly. "Someone who believes great fathers deserve a little help from the world." That night, Michael sat beside Sophie's bed while she slept peacefully. Her little blue bow was still slightly crooked. He smiled to himself and gently fixed it. Outside the apartment window, snow continued falling over New York City. And, for the first time in years, life finally felt a little kinder. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more powerful stories about kindness, sacrifice, and the moments that restore our faith in humanity. And remember, sometimes the richest people in the world aren't the ones with the most money. They're the ones with the biggest hearts. See you in the next story.